Bhadram karnebi shrnuyama devaha Bhadram pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi tushtuvagam sastanubhihi Vyashema devahitam yadayuhu Svastina indro vrdhashravaha Svastina pusha vishvavedaha Svastina starkshyo arishtanemihi Svastino brahaspatir dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, going back to verse 9, a quick revision. This jnani has understood its own truth. He or she has removed mula vidya. That means the root cause has been removed. That means their ignorance about the nature of self. However, the jnani still carries a mind, and that mind is not another mind. Okay? So this mind has studied, suppose, 20 years of communication skills. Excellent communicator. Performed, they've got good conduct, they know how to negotiate, they know how to make people feel good. They are a salesman or a saleswoman. They're wonderful in what they do. They really know how to bring you in. They use lovely language and you feel completely, held. You feel safe and warm because they really are, a friend and they have a lot of skills and you feel wonderful in their presence. And that's just an ajnani. And then you have it. So in other words, they have they have primary ignorance. They don't know their nature, but they know lots of communication skills. Now you have a jnani who has removed primary ignorance, but how many years of his experience of communication? Not a lot, just an average communicator. So they've got average skills of communication. In other words, now who would you listen to? And they're both speaking about Advaita Vedanta. Because you can't tell who's a wise person. They're both saying the exact same thing.
Oh, then I go to the left side.
So innocent. Maybe, right? You go to the left side. What I want to show is that there is one more ignorance that neither of them have removed. Because even this fella, 20 years, you got 40-year communicator. It's much better than a 20-year communicator. So they both have tula vidya. I'm going to spell this properly. It's mula vidya because vidya is knowledge. So erase this. So mula vidya because avidya is ignorance. So root ignorance or primary ignorance and secondary ignorance. So this means that both of them still know relatively little bit about the world. Coming back to the jnani, they still have ignorance about communication skills, about proper etiquette, about culture, about conduct, right? How to carry oneself, about the world, so many areas that are yet to be addressed. And then you look at someone like that, and you say, well, you're just an ordinary person. You're no different than anyone else. I'm out of here. I want someone like this. I want someone who represents that idol, that perfect person. You see, it's not so black or whitish. That's how we like to see it. It's either this or it's that. But there are nuances in between. So what this wants to show is that the jnani, the wise person, remove their primary ignorance, but they still have tula vidya. Therefore, you will never have a perfect teacher.
Perfect teacher, could you maybe move to the
So this is our image. This is what we, grow up as, little kids, and we have this image of God, mom, God, dad, and we carry this over, and we desperately want to find a partner that represents God. A mom or a dad, it's someone that reminds us of that special person. And we carry these complexes into the spiritual world. And so we just jump from teacher to teacher to teacher. No one's ever good enough. Go from one class, you will find a whole bunch of complaints there. These students have errors, they have errors. It's like almost everyone's full of flaws. Because they keep on looking for perfection. But everyone, including that person who's has so much to say about all of them, also has Stula Vidya. No one's free of Stula Vidya. Wise or unwise, everyone has Stula Vidya. Only Ishvara has Stula Vidya removed.
Andre, the unwise has got both the Mula and Tula.
Yes, correct. So
the Jnani who has not got the Mula, in terms of delivery, because he's got rid of one of those, so the delivery should be a bit better?
Absolutely, yeah. But see, not everyone is a perfect... See, not all Jnanis teach. No, you have farmers, you have people on the bus, ordinary people. So it's very rare to find a teacher that has removed Mula Vidya, but also has taken care of their own stuff, their own personal biases. Enough so that at least you can draw people and you can, kind of not be so confrontational. So that's a very unique combination. But it's a very interesting question, isn't it? Who would you listen to?
Dayananda called them wise and otherwise.
What's the shift? Before I saw myself as good as the ornament. Okay? Now my very self equals the whole. That's why we say Atman equals Brahman. The ornament is not different in essence from the gold. The spark is not different in essence from the fire. Both are self-illumining. And then Kama, the desire to become, that is no longer there. Okay? No longer want to stand out, let me become someone. But the desire to navigate the world, still there. Desire to optimize, right? Whatever needs to be done. Desire to learn new skills. That's there. So that gets a tick. What happens to your action? Do you stop acting? No, we don't stop acting. Action has to be done. I have to do what I have to do for the sake of transacting in the world. But am I doing it for the sake of completing myself, for the sake of completion? No. Yeah, so action is coming out of what it needs to be done. So in other words, I'm not doing it because I feel empty. So that's the reversal. Before, I was doing action because I was empty. And by doing an action, I will fill myself up. Yeah. Now an action is being done. Whether it's done or not, I still am full. Yeah. Therefore, actions arise out of fullness. No longer from neediness or emptiness or smallness. Two doubts are gone. The first doubt is how to know the truth. And how to know the truth is not through experience alone. This notion has been erased. But you need knowledge that is keeping with what is. If I don't have an authoritative knowledge that shows the reality, then how is your experience how are you going to take comfort in your experience? Because you're always going to end up comparing your experience to somebody else's experience. They say, I've been enlightened because I've had samadhi, and this fellow is going to say, I had oneness experience because of my X practice. Okay? Maybe I've been sent through, we call it Shaktipat. My guru has given me. Now, how will you compare your experience of being given to someone who's, maybe drunk or drank some liquid, and someone who's just had a samadhi, let's say nirvikalpa, through years of experience? How will you know? And that's just 3 people. Now, how many books do you read about this? It's hundreds of books. I was on I had a near-death experience, and then I just kind of floated above my body, and I self-realized. And they write a book, and they become a bestseller book. People love to read other people's enlightened experiences. So now there's no way to verify who's right. So you need an authoritative source which doesn't contradict reality. Non-negatable, non-contradictable knowledge that points out something that if you try to contradict it, you can't. That's the first doubt. How to know? Not entirely through experience, but you need knowledge of what is. And the second doubt, what is to be known? What is my nature? You can improve your mind, but you can't improve your awareness. And even if the mind gets dementia or Alzheimer's, you no longer come back because you have solved the problem. Why? Because it stays, okay. Okay, who am I now after the knowledge has taken place? Am I still the body-mind that's got an Alzheimer's? No. Therefore, I am safe from what happens to the brain. But as long as my eyes put in that brain that gets dementia or Alzheimer's, then once that happens, it's not possible to, most likely Vedanta is not going to be for that person. Because a person like that is very, it's confusing. It's confusing and it's very hard to keep it all in. And Vedanta will most likely be used as an escape. So this means better get on with your work before old age kicks in, And then it says, verse 12, Brahman is in all directions. Brahma eva idam amritam purastat Brahma paschat Brahma dakshinataha cha uttarena adhaha cha urdvam cha prasritam Brahma eva idam vishwam idam varishtam. Brahman is all-pervading, and it prevents your mind from imagining Brahman. Think about this. Because when we hear about Brahman, we want to imagine it over here. But what is it now saying? It is on the left, on the right, it is below, it is above, it is in front, it is behind. Can you now imagine Brahman? No. In all directions. So it uses this directional analogy to show Brahman isn't just in things, but obtains as that very thing. What thing? Those things that are on the left of you, on the right of you, behind you, in front of you, above you, and below you. Let's do this as an experiment. So when you look at a flower, 3 things are going on right now. So flower is. So it enjoys existence. Suppose the flower was not there. You would say flower is not, right? Absence of flower is. The isness remains. Even if we burn this flower, you can't get rid of the isness, but you can get rid of the name and form. You can get rid of the mithya, but you can't get rid of the isness satyam. The isness satyam is pervading, is available no matter what happens to this name and form. Pluck out the bud, pluck out the leaves, put it all on the ground. Now, leaf is, bud is, seed is, veins are. The fact that we can say what it is because it depends on existence. How do you know it depends on existence? Because you can burn the flower, but you can't burn isness. Ash is. Now, where's the flower? Gone. So the name and form, the mithya changed, but satyam, the isness, remains. Now, why does that flower exist? Flower exists because of flower consciousness, bud consciousness, leaf consciousness. We call this sat consciousness, we call chit. That means I can't get rid of existence and I can't get rid of consciousness, of whatever is left. So sat and chit, I can't get rid of both. Suppose you say, I love the flower. So when you say, I love the flower, what are you saying first? The flower, why do I love the flower? Because flower exists. Because of flower consciousness. And why do you love that flower? Or whatever it is. Suppose you don't love it, but whatever it is. Why do you love the flower? Because when you see that flower, it has the ability to produce fullness in you. How so? Because as we spoke about that lake, when you are in the presence of an object that has the ability to still that lake, what do you say towards that object? I love you because you have the ability to still my mind, and when my mind is still, I appreciate my fullness. I don't love you, by the way. I love what you can do for me. What you can do for me is you can still my mind so I can appreciate my ananda, fullness. What about you say, I hate the scorpion. Why are you hating something? I hate that person. Why do we hate things? Because in the presence of that object, it doesn't allow me to have a settled mind. Thus, I am not able to appreciate my fullness. But what I really want is to appreciate my fullness, and that object doesn't allow me to do that. Thus, I hate the object for denying me my fullness. I dislike the object for denying me my fullness, because in the presence of it, it makes my mind ripply. And what I really want is a still mind so that I can appreciate my existence and awareness as one full, which manifests as fullness. So why do we hate things? Because I love myself. Why do we love things? Because I love myself. Isn't that your experience? Whose experience is it not? So if everyone is loving the self, how many selves are there? One self. Because everyone wants fullness. Nobody wants 99% fullness, and I want 99.6, you want 99.2. Everyone wants 100% fullness. So if your self that you want to love fully, and I want to love myself fully, then what's the difference between 100% self and 100% self? They're both 100% self. They're both one self. So everything we do in this world is only for the sake of that one self. And since everyone is doing the same thing, wants that one self, which is always full, never 99% full, 100% full. So there's only one 100% full self. And that's what we all want.
And how if you are neutral against things?
If you are neutral against things, then you just don't have any you're okay despite their presence or absence. It doesn't kind of stir up your lake. Not bugged, not annoyed, not agitated, not hijacked by an object.
I remember there was a verse in I think it's in a text Makaranda. It says, "There is never a moment I am not loved." It really struck me. And I even now understand better. There's never a moment when I'm not loved.
There's never a moment when I am not loved. And there is Mundakopanishad Upanishad from 2.5.4, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. And then it goes into statements that say, you only love your husband for your sake. You don't love your husband for his sake. Because in the presence of your husband, you feel complete. You only love your wife, not for her sake, but because when she's around, it makes you full. It gives you that sense of fullness. You only love your children, not for their sake, but because they too make you, give you a certain love for yourself. You only love your neighbors because they give you fullness. You love knowledge because it gives you fullness. You love anything because it gives you fullness. You always love things in this world, never for its sake, but because in its presence, it makes you love yourself. And that is so pleasing, isn't it? To love yourself, that you want to keep them around. That is how much you love yourself. Because your entire life has always ever been about reconnecting to yourself, loving yourself. And you can't stand it when that love of self goes away. So then we try to do anything possible to bring things into our life that have the power to again make us love ourselves. And so we desperately search for this and this and this and this. This, okay, it's kind of working, bring them closer. And then we want to protect it now. And then fear starts to come in. What if they leave? Now, what initially was an object that caused me to love myself now becomes an object of fear. So now they start to disturb my mind. And when they disturb my mind, that love for self is gone. And now again, I have to now make some kind of changes or add pressure to make sure that they change so that they can again create a stillness in my mind so that I can love myself. Until a new habit, a new desire comes in and again pollutes that mind. And then I start to now project that onto them. You no longer love. You no longer cause me to love myself. It is your fault. Because the desire, new desire keeps on coming into the mind, and that desire doesn't stop. So unless one recognizes that it's never ever about them, but it's always really about you, then you stop giving pressure for others to try to, you can love yourself in their presence. You just simply stop giving them pressure. And you recognize loving myself is my responsibility, never theirs. They're just a bonus, a nice bonus. But the priority is I love myself, irrespective of their presence or not.
So Swamiji Paramahansa, he says, watch the mind, not the world.
So you've only ever been looking for the self, loving the self, doing everything for the self, trying and attempting and going through a hard time for the self. You are the greatest love of your life because there's only one self. And that's what everyone wants.
The simplicity to love myself, the most simple way of looking at it is self is love. Love myself as a faculty, there are two. Self is love, is one. Self is knowledge, self is love.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you are love.
Yeah.
That's what you are.
Yeah.
And love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll only just add one thing. In Vedanta, we strictly don't use self is love. We don't do that. We say self is fullness. Okay. Because if self was love and everything is the self, then you should be loving all the time. But 99% you're hating. So remember the material cause, whatever the fire in here is, like brightness and hotness, is also in the spark. So if Brahman was truly love, then everyone should only know love and there would be no possibility of hate. That's why we say Brahman is attributeless. It is neither hate nor love. It has no opposites. Love has an opposite.
So,
Yeah.
where do I find the love to love myself?
So when we talk about love, we just want to demonstrate that you're only ever doing everything for the sake of self or for the love of self. So it shows you that everything is done for that one self. I'm targeting something. What am I targeting in all my actions? I'm targeting always the self. So it wants to show you the presence of that self. Number one, there's a presence of the self because we're always targeting the self. Everything's done for the sake of I. But not only is it done for the sake of I, but that I is of the nature of fullness. Because when you are happy, you are full. That's what we want to show. The most loved thing is the self.
It's more like an emotion.
Yes, so love can also be interpreted as, we say it's the subtlest possible emotion in mithya. It's still mithya, okay, because I just said that Brahman is not love, so love is still mithya, okay? And I know some teachers tend to equate love with awareness. This is not ever done in the tradition. You don't do that. Got it. The point is, the substance or the material is always present. Always present. What is always present? Awareness. Love and hate has a place, transactionally has a place, but awareness is not love. Awareness is much bigger, vaster than love. Let's not limit awareness to love. Awareness is limitlessness. Anantam. Limitlessness is much greater than anything you can muster or contemplate or think about. You see, we want awareness sometimes to be this emotion of love. Still attributing mithya onto satyam. Awareness is awareness. Scriptures are very definitive. Brahman is Sat Chit Ananda. Existence, awareness, fullness. Not existence, awareness, love. So let's not define this reality as love.
Love is the signpost to the fullness.
Perfect. And so is happiness. Love is a signpost to fullness, and so is happiness. So when you're happy, in that happiness, do you want anything? So in other words, not to want something is fullness. That's what fullness is. Right now, nothing is missing. If you offer me more, no thanks, because I am full. So love and happiness, they're the same thing from two different standpoints. When you love something, you're happy. When you're happy, it's because you love it. But both of them give you a taster into your nature of fullness. And you love it because you have come in touch with yourself. You only love that which you are. You can't love what you are not. And since everything is ever done for the sake of reconnecting, knowing your fullness, then what is the most lovable thing? What's the most attractive thing? That for whom you do everything, which is the self. So everyone is only ever looking for the self. Even those who are saying, no, Advaita is talking this and that, even they are only looking for happiness to get in touch with the self.
Attained. You cannot attain.
You can't attain it. You can only just remove the clouds. Fullness. And how do you recognize, why do you recognize that fullness? Because you are it. Notice how you don't have to learn. Is this me? Is this fullness me? And yet everything else you have to learn. But fullness, the moment that cloud removes and fullness is attained, I'm in touch with my fullness, instantly you know this is right. This is right. This is it. Instantly you know. There's no doubt about it. So this means if you know it and you have no doubt about it, then you are it. It can't be different from you. If it was different from you, you would have to go and read up, fullness. I experience fullness. What is fullness? Nobody has to learn about fullness. You know it because you are it. And you are only ever doing everything to get a glimpse of that through various experiences. But you don't have to keep on chasing experiences again and again and again. I can cognitively know I am fullness, whether fullness is here or not. That's the difference between Vedantin and one who is in the world, attaining experience after experience, chasing for that temporary magical spark to get in touch with fullness. A jnani recognizes, even if the clouds are passing by, is the sun gone? Is the fullness gone? No. Only the presence of the mind seems to cover it, but it's never gone. It's right here, right now, which means the wise person doesn't have to keep on chasing for new experiences, but cognitively recognizes wherever I am, that's exactly where fullness is. That's maturity, not to have another need for chasing experiences, but I am okay. If fullness is here, wonderful. If fullness is not here, well, that's just the mind. That's what the mind does. As long as there's the mind, if there is some moments of fullness, wonderful. Please share some with me. I would love that too. And I'm sure you would want some of that if I have. If not, one can be mature enough and say, it's okay. The clouds are passing. Have to wait it out. And that's why we sometimes we continue to work on the mind. We call this contemplation nididhyasanam, because all you ever want is, even while alive, it's so attractive, the self. And even if you know you are the self, you want to also still remove the clouds. You want to get a taste of it, even if you know it.
Yeah, and the difficulty in that is because we want an emotion, like love, like happiness, like feeling good. And the other, knowing I'm fullness, is a cognitive thing, and it doesn't produce an emotion, but we want this happy emotion, and then we think we are all right.
That's exactly it. And that's why maturity is required. To be mature enough that even if the emotion is not there, you cognitively understand I am still that fullness. And most can't do that. They want an emotion. They want to go in the heart. Oh, you're speaking from the head. Give me an experience. It's almost as if it overrides experience. Like, I don't need an experience of it. I know it so well that an experience is a bonus. But I'm not attracted for it. Otherwise, the wise person would constantly go and continue going and getting these nice highs. They don't do that. Since everything is sat and chit, as we have established, in other words, everything becomes sat chit, in other words, I, plus the waker, because it's not really a plus, it's not two different things. An ornament is not really an addition onto the gold. I am sat chit plus navya. I am sat chit plus waker. During dream, I am sat chit plus dreamer. During sleep, I am sat chit plus unmanifest mind. I am sat chit plus plant. Sat chit plus tree. Sat chit plus floor. Sat chit plus... But it's not really a plus, is it? It's more like a not plus. So Dhananda says this, it's a not plus. Okay, so not plus, just to remind you, there's no extra, there's no two things here. Just wants to say Sachit plus Upadhi. But is the upadi made of the different substance from Satchit? No. And how is upadi created? Because of the power. We call this power anam. So Satchit plus upadi, the upadi is made of the same stuff as Satchit. And when Satchit operates through that upadi, it's taking the shape of a form, a person, a tree, a bear, a tiger, and so on. But there's no actual plus here. It's a satya-mithya relationship. Purnamadav, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnam eva avashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.